So over the past decade, we've gotten countless Dragon Ball games, from the Xenoverse series to Dragon Ball FighterZ, Kakarot, and even Dragon Ball The Breakers. All of these games have their fan bases and people enjoy them for whatever reason. However, even with the success of these games, there's been one series, or technically two, that people have always wanted to return, and that's Budokai or Budokai Tenkaichi. Growing up, I spent a disgusting amount of hours playing Budokai 1 through 3 on the PS2 alongside Tenkaichi. Personally, I've always preferred the Budokai series, but when I heard that a new Tenkaichi game was going to be released, I was definitely interested. Actually, upon seeing the initial announcement, I was surprised because how many times do studios actually listen to their audience and give them exactly what they want? Almost never. Even still, I went into this game expecting to enjoy it, but I didn't realize how much of a hold this game would have over me once I actually got the chance to play it.
I'll send you to the next world with this Ultra Big Bang Kamehameha! Game over!
So the first thing that I noticed when playing this was the graphics. As soon as you boot up the game and start the tutorial, you'll see how good this game looks. Even if you watch some of the character trailers that released, and there was a lot of them, it still looks even better when playing it on your monitor or TV. From the character models to the stages and animations, everything is visually stunning. In my opinion, this is about as good as Dragon Ball has ever looked. Some people may think that FighterZ or Kakarot looks better, but it's all a matter of preference. But I think where this is the most noticeable is in the animations, specifically the super attacks and ultimates. Launching a character's ultimate attack after transforming is extremely satisfying. So satisfying that it makes you want to do it over and over and over. The way the colors mesh together along with how the characters react to getting hit really makes it feel like it was ripped right out of the anime. Once you get over how great the graphics look, you'll quickly get addicted to the combat. On the surface, this combat looks bare bones, but it's actually surprisingly deep. If you only play training mode or easy custom battles, you'll be able to mash the attack button, but when playing ranked matches or against anybody that has a decent understanding of the controls, you're going to be losing a lot. In my opinion, the defensive moves are the hardest to master, but the most important to learn. If you don't understand how to block and counter, along with the different inputs that are available to do so, you're going to be victim to a long string of combos, and I'm speaking from experience. I ran a bunch of matches against some friends who actually know how to defend well, and they were able to quickly slow me down and pull off long combos. Another thing that I still struggle with is the vanishing. I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, then you know what this is, but the vanishes are literally the quick teleportation moves that you see depicted in the anime. Translating this into Sparking Zero was no easy feat, but the devs did a great job of making the vanishes feel like how they used to. Now I will admit, it's annoying when both you and the other player know how to vanish and you get locked into what seems like a sequence of never-ending vanishes, only with them stopping when one of you runs out of ki. Using the vanishes is one thing that I need to practice, but I think that once you get the timing down, everything will slowly come into place. In regards to offense, this game is so damn fast that every combo you pull off feels really fluid and impactful. It's like when you find or create an opening and then punish, it feels like a punish. Not like your opponent can just get out of it or you're not doing much damage. Combine the combo chains with the vanishes, specials, and ultimate attacks, and you have so many things at your arsenal for each fight. At first, it seems like the game is too fast, but it's like playing any other game. The more you play, the more you'll adapt, and the game speed will eventually slow down over time. The highlight of this game is easily the amount of characters you have to choose from. As I mentioned earlier, there were so many character trailers released to generate hype, but when it came to use the characters, it was on a whole other level. Even if you consider the sheer amount of Gokus and Vegetas on the roster, it's crazy how different they all feel. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta does not play the same as Gogeta Blue, even though they are technically the same character, just a different form. What I loved is that all the characters' supers and ultimates are taken right out of the anime or whatever appearance they had in the franchise. Using them is like seeing the move come to life right in front of your eyes. Of course, these ultimates and other abilities existed in the old games, but I don't think they've ever been depicted to this degree. Nothing is like being in the middle of a fight, pulling off a combo, and then hitting the opponent with an ultimate. It feels great. Which character you prefer to play as is 100% up to you and how you gel with how they play. Some characters are naturally slower, while others are faster. Some have more health bars than others, some can heal themselves. There's so many different things that each character has that makes them unique that you just have to try them out and see what works for you. For me, at least right now, I'm really enjoying playing as Gogeta from Super. Mainly because of using the moves from the Broly movie, but I do like his other moves and how he feels during combat. However, as I play with the other characters, my team is bound to change and I'll probably end up having a couple new mains that I rock with. If there's one thing that was apparent, is that there is a lot of content that is packed in the Sparking Zero. When you get past the title screen, you're greeted with a bunch of different menus. The first housing episode battle, which is the story mode, and the second being custom battle. which is where you can create your own battles or play other battles made from players around the globe. Also, you can do the bonus battles that are pre-made scenarios that the devs made that are already in the game. But all of these are so much fun, I gotta give my thoughts on each mode individually. So far in the episode battle, I've only played Goku's story, but I think it's great. It bounces back and forth between slides and cutscenes, but I think it serves as a good balance. However, that does lead me to one criticism, or more like an idea. I would assume that this would increase the budget, but if the devs are able to make all the story modes nothing but cutscenes, then that would add to the overall immersion and not take you out the moment. Even in Goku's story, there were times that I wish the story would continue to be told via cutscenes and not within slides. It doesn't have to be to the level of Kakarot in regards to detail, but if they were able to do the story the way they did in that game, combined with the gameplay of Sparking Zero, that could be the perfect Dragon Ball game. What was kinda tricky was achieving the what if scenarios within the fights during episode battle. If you just play the fights like normal, you're probably going to miss them. What you'll have to do is start the fight, then go to the pause menu, look at the battle details, and find the alternate objective. Here's where you'll see what you need to do within the fight in order to activate the what if scenario. Some of these were harder than others, but from what I've played, they're definitely achievable. After I got the what ifs, I was surprised how in depth some of these were. Going into these scenarios, I thought it would just be an extra battle, but there's actually a lot more to them. There's cutscenes, slides, in addition to different fights. I won't spoil what happens, but seeing these events unfold, knowing what is supposed to happen according to the anime, is definitely interesting. There were so many times I found myself pointing at the screen like, "Hey yo, this is not supposed to happen. What the hell is going on?" I've yet to try out the other characters, but if they're anything like Goku's, I know that I'll have a blast enjoying those as well. Moving on to the player matches in World Tournament, I was very surprised that these work so well. Like many fighting games, especially Dragon Ball ones, I was expecting the servers to be completely scuffed on launch, but it actually turned out to be really smooth. Playing against players online is really fun and addicting, just like the entire game. The only time I experienced lag was when I played against people who had worse connections, which is to be expected, and even then the lag wasn't that bad. The entire interface of joining rooms and inviting friends is really easy to navigate. You have different options to get players into your room. You can invite a friend or just share the room code to get everybody in there. This carries over right into the World Tournament mode, which I absolutely loved. It is so cool to get a group of 7 and join a room and then run a tourney, especially considering you can tailor the rules to change different aspects of the matches so it doesn't get boring. I was really skeptical to how this would operate, but just like the online matches, it was seamless. Picking your character and then watching the other fights just builds up so much anticipation for your turn that you can feel the consequences of a win or loss. Another thing that I think could be tweaked is the amount of characters that you can have within a tournament. Unless I miss something, you can only have a maximum of 7 people in a tournament, which is plenty, but I think we could use a bit more. Especially if you're part of a community or Discord that has a lot of people, more slots would be great. I don't need 100 slots or something, but maybe like 15 max, that would be a bit better. Again, it's important to note that if players don't have at least decent connections for these online modes, then all of this isn't going to function well. The people that I played against all had at least okay connections, so everything worked as it should have. If connection is a problem for you, then maybe play the modes offline and then you'll still have a great time. Now this brings me to what is my favorite mode within the entire game, the custom battles. When reading the description on what these battles are, you may dismiss them because they seem like nothing more than quick fights thrown together by people who have no sense of creativity. Instead, it's some of that, but a lot more of people trying to recreate the anime, manga, or just something completely brand new. And once you start seeing some of these creations, you want to keep playing more of them. When you open up the custom battles menu, you're greeted with tons of battles. Like there's so many battles it appears endless, but if you sort them by top plays, you'll find the most popular fights, which led me to assume that they're the best ones. And I was right. Just from the ones I played, I was shocked with how good they were. For example, shout out to Rami Sento for recreating Vegeta's Promise, one of his iconic moments from Dragon Ball Super. He could have just thrown together a fight with Vegeta Blue and God of Destruction Top, but instead he went above and beyond and added conditions within the fight and eliminated Vegeta's ability to go sparking. There's more to it, but these fights are so interesting to try out. Another one I did was by XRECT420XX69, who recreated the final battle from the first Broly movie. In this battle, Broly is really strong and each character has barely any health, making the fight really difficult. But then when Goku arrives, he has more health and his sparking meter is already on, which lets you beat Broly, making it accurate to the movie. Regardless of which fight you choose, there are thousands of battles to go through, meaning this mode alone provides the game with never-ending content, as someone out there will always be making custom battles. Now a bit ago I did mention that I had to sort through the menu to find the top play battles. This is another issue I had was in regards to the filtering and sorting of the menus. This goes for playing custom battles and creating them yourself. I think that the entire custom battle mechanic is an amazing idea, but with so many characters and dialogue options, not being able to sort through them alphabetically is definitely a hindrance. It takes way longer than it should to find something or someone, even when you know exactly what you want. It doesn't take away from the game experience, but you definitely could do things faster if everything was a bit more organized. Speaking of creating custom battles, this was a lot more in depth than I thought it would be. It's a lot of info to digest at first, but once you read everything and start playing around, it kind of feels like editing a video, honestly. There's so many options to choose from when creating these battles, as you can choose the characters in the battle and in the actual scenes, even with the option for NPCs like Bulma. But it doesn't stop there. You can customize the music, dialogue, stage, and even battle conditions. This is where the issue I had with the menu filtering comes into play. There's so many different things to choose from within each of these sections, finding them can take a really long time. But if you're patient, you can craft a battle that actually turns out really well. If I could change one thing, it would be that you could literally type in the dialogue you want the characters to say. They give you plenty of options for dialogue, but sometimes I want to say something very specific and I have to choose another option because it doesn't exist. Not a big deal, just a feature I would like to see added. Again, the entire creation process is confusing but also easy. Like when I was making my battle, I did the entire thing thinking this was the whole battle. But only when I finished making it did I realize it was just the intro that I did. So I ended up having to split the clips up and put the correct ones in the intro and outro. If you decide to make your own custom battle, be sure not to make the same mistake as me. But since it's short, I'll show you what my custom battle ended up looking like when I finished it. Now I mentioned all these different game modes and what you can do with them, but do you earn anything or unlock stuff by participating in these modes? And that answer is absolutely. Usually in all the modes, after doing fights you'll earn Zenny, complete proficiency for a character, satisfy a challenge, or earn a Dragon Ball. There's menus called Zeno's Orders and Whis' Stamp Book, which both grant you different rewards for completing objectives. I thought these were pretty cool because Zeno's Orders are actual challenges or objectives, and you receive Zenny, titles, and other things. Whis' Stamp Book holds more rewards for completing certain battle missions across the game modes. Both modes are a really nice way to incentivize the player to play more of the game, especially if you're one of those people who aren't into the online scene. Then these challenges always give you something to do in case you start to get bored. Plus, all the Zenny you get from completing these objectives help you buy more stuff from the store. I feel like I've said this a bunch of times, but again, the store surprised me with how much it contained. You could buy in-game items to boost different stats, purchase characters, outfits, voices, and other things. Having this in the store just creates another reason for you to keep playing the game. Knowing that there's characters I haven't unlocked is enough motivation for me to keep playing until I have the Zenny to purchase everyone. And those are just characters. Once you spot something else you'll want to buy that too. It just never ends. Lastly, there's two things I wouldn't call critiques, but more like features I hope get added in the game. The first are actual online team battles. Of course, you probably know that there's team battles in the game where it's essentially 5v5 matches, but what if you were able to get into a lobby of friends and everyone had one character and it was a team of 5 different players versus another team of 5 different players? Kind of like Call of Duty, how everyone enters a party and you play against other people. I think that would be a really great feature to implement and just add another layer to the replayability of this game. Now, if you want to call this one a critique, I get it, but not having crossplay in this game is a huge L. For a game this good, having crossplay would have been the cherry on top of everything else I mentioned. As a matter of fact, since I knew this game wasn't going to have crossplay, I made sure to buy this on PS5 because all my friends are on PS5. And with no crossplay, I definitely wasn't missing the opportunity to run matches with them. Furthermore, imagine the experience if you could play with Xbox or PC players at any given time. That would be so cool because there's people out there that can't afford to just buy a new machine for one game. So everyone being able to play together would have been clutch. Hopefully it gets added down the line because this game definitely deserves it. Overall, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is easily one, if not the greatest Dragon Ball game ever created. It incorporates so much from the past while bringing it into current times. The sheer amount of content included in the game makes it worth the $70 easily. I think if Bandai decides to do a sequel, if they could add some quality of life features along with adding some more cutscenes in the story mode to resemble Kakarot, this already great game could be even better. Even still, this game was definitely worth the wait. Considering the amount of anticipation leading up to this, I'd say Dragon Ball Sparking Zero surpassed all expectations. For those reasons, I'm going to give this game a 9.5. This is one of those times where a game is just fun, and I know we may say that for a lot of games we enjoy, but this game is truly something special. So if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z or any of the other series in the franchise, I would say buy this game as soon as possible because you won't regret it. What did you think of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? If you played it, where does it rank among your top Dragon Ball games? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to check out one of my other reviews right here.